What's going on, you guys? It's your Huggable Hipster here, and welcome back to another episode of Psychologically Gaming and Soulsborne Academy. Don't mind the hunter in the corner, they're just here for your protection. I decided to do a combination episode today because there's a lot of psychology, but a lot of theory crafting that's going to be incorporated in today's episode. Today we're going to be diving into the psychology of the nightmare slash a cause and effect, if you will, of what happens when one thing affects another thing. You know, get it? Cause and effect. Hey, listen, I'm not backing down from that one, okay? I thought that was a pretty clever joke, all right? As I was going through the DLC for the second time, I really thought very heavily of what kind of psychologically gaming and Soulsborne Academy episodes I wanted to do for the DLC, because there's so much to unpack with so many of these characters and bosses that you fight within the game. I thought, well, what about Orphan of Kos? What can I do for him that could be this kind of theory crafting, but also psychologically gaming episode where we do more of a deep dive on him? There's the point of where we just take him literally just as a boss that we fight in a game, just an enemy, nothing more, nothing less. But if we take a more philosophical and psychological approach to this boss and say that he is the mark that is left on the dreamer. Hear me out for a second here, okay? We always hear about this concept in paranormal research where we see stains, marks, emotional scarring left on a location. What if the same could be said for a boss battle in a game of where once the boss, I was about to say the person, once the boss, the person, the creature is exterminated, you are left with kind of this irreversible scarring on the place that it once inhabited. Once you kill aforementioned boss of Orphan of Kos, you are then left with the actual essence, the being of what the orphan actually is. That kind of dark, deep, purplish black shadow that we see over the mother, over Kos, is technically what the orphan is. Now, it states here in the lore that mentioned as the poor, wizened child of the being Kos, it can be theorized that the desecration of Kos by the old hunters led to the death of the infant Great One, causing it to fade into a plane of similar limbo. This could be kind of interpreted as purgatory, but we can get into that in another discussion. In retaliation for the saddening fate, the devoted Mother Kos laid the curse of the blood upon the old hunters responsible for the early deaths, and upon those who followed in the blood-lusting footsteps. Drunk with blood, the later hunters would join the old hunters in the limbo of Orphan of Kos, referred to as the hunter's nightmare. A lot going on here. First of all, there's a lot of quantum mechanics going on here. There's a lot of philosophy going on here. There's a lot of in-depth psychology that's going on here about the cycle of life and just the meaning of limbo and purgatory. And what's really sad, though, to think about is the fact that the entire nightmare is caused because a child was slain. I mean, the same thing could be said for when we fight Margot's wet nurse, because once you fight that, then it also says the nightmare is slain. And then when you defeat Orphan of Kos, and once you take away the shadow that is there above Mother Kos, then it also says nightmare is slain. One of the more sad points of the story whenever you go into the hunter's nightmare, because you're seeing what actually causes the dream, right? You're seeing what actually causes the hunters to need to have a safe space in order to have respite, because there is no escaping from the consequences of their actions of what happened during the hunter's nightmare. Now, I have a theory as to why the hunter's dream is so much of a necessity. It's because there needed to be an escape from the hunter's nightmare to escape responsibility. That way hunters could have a place of respite. They could have a place of where, okay, I'm away from it for right now, but ever since the killing of Mother Kos, there is just this perpetual purgatory, this perpetual loop of having to kill the orphan every single time as a way of showing that, look, these actions, they have consequences. There will always be consequences to the actions that are taken. As I was reading before, whenever I was talking about the lore of Orphan of Kos, it states here that the devoted Mother Kos laid a curse of blood upon the old hunters responsible for their earthly deaths. Now, if we really want to stretch it, and if we really want to take it a little bit further, but what if, hear me out on this, but what if the killing of Mother Kos was theoretically the start to the need to have hunters? You had this group of hunters, and then they killed everyone in the hunt, the fishing hamlet. They killed, Mother Kos, therefore killing the orphan of Kos, because you need to have a human surrogate in order to give birth. The baby would have died anyway. Let's just be honest here. The baby would have died anyway. The Mother Kos would not have been able to give birth fully to a healthy baby. It's in the lore and everything like that. You guys can read it online, but you had to have a human surrogate, and that's one of the things of where I feel like that's where everything originated from. The more that I think on it, the more I'm just like, oh, okay, that's where I think everything originated from, because okay, you killed the mother and therefore you killed her baby. The mother's not happy about this, so she placed a curse on everybody. Just look at Ludwig, the Holy Blade. Look at that boss and tell me that is not an effect of a place being marked, a place being emotionally scarred. After you finish that boss battle, you are then left with just the head. You are left with basically the essence of what the person wanted to be. Also, look at Lady Marie of the Astral Clockwork Tower. She's there to in a way, I always got the feeling that she was there to repent for a lot of what her sins were, of what she thought, okay, I had done just massive amounts of damage. I am here to prevent any hunter from going any further than I did. And of course, what do? We go further and we kill Orphan of Kos. But that leads me to think that did the other hunters actually kill him and the nightmare, or did they just kill him and think that was it? Because you have the choice. Because at the very end of the boss battle, you have a choice. You can choose not to kill the essence of the Orphan of Kos. You have that choice to just go back to the hunter's dream, and that's it. If you don't notice that there's this shadow, this essence of the orphan just hovering over Mother Kos, if you don't notice that, you're not gonna slice and dice. You're not, that's very crude sounding, sorry. You're not going to, finish off the boss battle to where it says nightmare slain, because the nightmare will never be slain until the essence of the nightmare is dealt with, until it's taken care of. But if we really want to take it up a notch and we really want to go further into what was the cause of the nightmare, it was the hunters. And then we could go even further into it and thinking, okay, well, let's look at the base story of what the entirety of the game of Bloodborne is. We have the healing church that wants to use magic blood to heal people. Whoopsie daisy, the blood turns out to be cursed. Is that a cursed blood from Mother Kos, from the Hunters DLC? Is that her cursing the blood because she cursed the hunters that killed everyone in the fishing hamlet, including her son? This is going more into like the lore theory crafting segment of the video. Work with me on this. If we go into even further into the story, let's not blame the hunters. Let's say that they were okie dokie. Let's say it was the healing church that messed everything up. Which, to a degree, I mean, that's, it's true. The healing church did mess a lot of things up. Whenever they saw that, oh my God, we have magical blood now, we can make everybody healed and everybody fantastic. No. They literally created the monsters that they were trying to prevent. Their consequences turned into monsters. All of the things that they feared is because of their own doing. Think about the consequences of those actions before you do something that you might regret. Think of how something might influence another. Think about the Thumerian queen and the fact that her baby had to be ripped away from her when she was forced to have a child to begin with. There's so many concepts of this game psychologically, philosophically, metaphysically that is so intriguing and just absolutely horrifying. I know I got on a little bit of a tangent there, but it all interconnects. Whenever we discuss about Bloodborne, a lot of things interconnect. Even if you go back over to Elden Ring, you still see a lot of the same concepts discussed with quantum mechanics, metaphysics, a lot of different things, philosophical concepts. The moon. The moon is a huge factor in Elden Ring as it is in Bloodborne. And Orphan of Kos has to be one of the most sad boss battles I've ever seen. The one boss battle where it's actually crying out for help, I feel, because you see kind of like these wings, you know, that come out in the second phase. I always thought that, you know, these were kind of like angel wings, because it's technically a dead child that we are killing in this. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I know that sounds absolutely awful to say, but it's a really brutal imagery. Like, that is probably one of the most brutal pieces of imagery that is within a video game. It was where you have a stillborn child that is a boss battle, and that is a hard pill to swallow. It is upsetting. It is heartbreaking. It is the emotional scar that's left on the boss battle room is something of where you see it afterwards. You see again that little phantom is a representation of the soul of the child that was lost, and it's heartbreaking. It's really sad, and it's also incredible to go through as a video game. It tells a story of choice. You always have a choice in what you do. The actions that you take, your consequences, you're just about the choices that you make. There's always a cause and effect to everything you do in life. To every action, there is going to be a reaction. But if you all like my face and what I do, please be sure to subscribe and hit that bell down below. May you find your worth in the waking world, your hunter, and I will see you all in the next one. Umbasa.